Desmond Child, and I am a songwriter. This was a good time because there was a lot of being at home because of, COVID and all of that. And so it was a good time to become introspective and to think about my life. And it's kind of was like a project really that I started many years ago with David Ritz, the great autobiographer. So the book is called Living on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life with David Ritz. And it's the story of my life. And it's very cinematic because, I was born a very long time ago in the early 1950s, and I'm Cuban and Hungarian, and both of my parents lived in came from very troubled regions. And so as a little boy, I experienced, the Cuban Revolution, living in exile with all of my cousins, and in Miami, my aunts and uncles that were very good looking, but they were only prepared to become waiters and waitresses. When in Cuba, all they needed to do was show up at a nightclub. It was a very hard life, and a lot of things happened. And I realized that I wanted to take care of my mother because she was a songwriter and a poet. She wasn't good at business. I don't think I'm good at business. Anyway, that's what John Bon Jovi says. You're really not good at business. You're not good with money. It's like, okay. I'm a songwriter. I'm an artist. Not everyone can be a dynamo like him. He has it all: the artist, the looks, the business smarts, the personality, and the teeth to go with it. That billion-dollar smile you can see from the last row of the last bench in a stadium. And when he looks up there, you think he's looking at you. I'm telling the story of my life. I'm telling the story of how my mother met my biological father, who was a Hungarian that had settled in Venezuela after the war when he was, in his 20s, and built up his business there. And my mother was married to an American geologist, and she went there to live and became very unhappy in her marriage. And I decided I wanted to take care of my mother. And we lived in the ghettos and the projects of Miami. Her car was always broken down. There wasn't even gas to put in it. She'd have to walk to a bus like 6 blocks away in the rain, tropical rains. And she's there with a little broken umbrella. I mean, she, to raise me and my brother Fred, it was a very difficult life, after the Cuban Revolution. I didn't really know who my real father was till I was 18. So I have these two roots: the Hungarian part and the Cuban part. The part that gives me my drive. I'm ready to get on a horse and with a spear and go out there and fight. And then the Cuban side is the part that, is happy just sitting by a beach and writing some song lyrics and smoking a cigar and like a Cuba Libre. This is all reflected not only in my music, but in my career. Because anybody can write a song, but to get those songs all the way to number one, it's not luck. I'm good at it. My mother was a songwriter, so I had that advantage. But, I know a lot of friends of mine who were brilliant that didn't make it. You need to have this drive, and you need to have a philosophical view, which fights the fight, and, kind of pull back and say, I'm not going to fight that fight. That's tomorrow's fight. Today, I'm going to focus on this. And you also, in order to win, it's always better if you have charm. It's always better if you can smile no matter what's coming at you, and say, oh, well, it's going to be okay, not react and go, like big insult. when my life fell apart in 1979, I mean, I was on top of the world. I had my group, Desmond Child and Rouge. And I mean, we released 2 albums the same year. We toured the country. We were on Saturday Night Live as musical guests. And, you know, I had, you know, I was Made for Loving You with Kiss as a collaboration with Paul Stanley. After building my group, Desmond Child and Rouge, with my girlfriend, Maria Vidal, who is, by the way, the original Gina in Living on a Prayer, because she worked as a waitress and they called her Gina. So she worked the diner all day and I stayed home playing, writing songs. It was kind of our story. John had his story in his mind and Richie had his story in his mind, references, but we all brought our stories together. I realized that I was, you know, I always thought of myself as a rock star, kind of like David Bowie or Mick Jagger or something like that, kind of androgynous. I mean, Maria was very, very beautiful, very sexy, and we really, you know, had fantastic chemistry. But I realized as I was becoming a man from my early 20s, that I was more gay than I was bi. That broke up our group, Desmond Child and Rouge, for really. I mean, our second album, Runners in the Night, it's all, you know, all about that. The first song is called The Truth Comes Out. And it's all about my finding myself. So when I lost, you know, our group broke up, we lost our record deal. There was a big producer manager that, you know, was interested in me, but he wasn't interested in the girls I was singing with. He said, no, you could be the next Bruce Springsteen. So I waited and I started a band on the side called Yankee, which is all guys, but I was on a spiritual search too. So I followed gurus and eventually I joined a small cult that was kind of a mind control cult. It was only 14 people and had a leader that, you know, with kind of glassy blue eyes that thought he was the next coming of Jesus or something. And I fell into it because it was like a family. During that period of time, I was writing with Kiss and Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, producing Cher, working with Michael Bolton, writing a lot of songs with Diane Warren. But 3 days out of the week, I was on the plantation, you know, pruning trees, you know, putting up fences, mowing lawns, doing all of these things. And then I had 4 days of the week when I go into New York. And that's when I would like write 2 or 3 sessions a day, because I was kind of so brainwashed. Thought I was saving humanity by doing that because all my money was going to them. Then finally I went to Russia with all these songwriters, you know, Michael Bolton, Cyndi Lauper, 48 songwriters, Brenda Russell, Stephen Bray. I mean, so many great people. And we went to Russia and I met 2 people there, my translator, Olga, and there was like this rocker dude that looked like kind of like a Jim Morrison kind of guy with, you know, like kind of like Russian face with the blue eyes and the big hair. And he wouldn't leave my side. He slept on the floor next to my bed. You know, there wasn't like a sexy thing going on, but he was like wanting to protect me somehow. And he wouldn't leave my side. And she wouldn't, she was so sweet. And she wasn't allowed to, no one was allowed to bring someone from a foreign country into their home. But they snuck me in and she closed the curtains and she made this little dinner and I got to be close to them. And I realized that I felt closer to them than the people that I was living with in the cult. And it broke the spell. And I saw a country that was like the cult that I was in, you know, communist, everything for everyone, all of that, and giving up everything. You know, I said, oh my God, this is like the evil empire. And I live in a small evil empire. And I came back and I quit. And they were very upset because their big source of money left. And of course, they didn't last much longer. Building a house on fire, baby. Building not an album, just a song here, a song there. You know, he has a trajectory. He has like 3 albums he's going to be making, you know, over the next few years. One is the Detroit recordings. Another one was with the original Alice Cooper band. And he has like all these things going on. So there's actually no room for me. But, you know, I would love eventually to do something with him. I would love to make trash too. Alice got on his website and said, "Stop talking trash.
Enough of that trash.
Buy this record. Stop talking trash." It was funny. I just adore him, and I adore Bob Ezrin. And I'm pretty much in touch with all of the artists that I ever work with. You know, there are very few of them that I've, you know, drifted away from. You know, we're still always in touch, and there's a lot of love and respect between all of us. And, you know, you go to any one of their shows and they're doing the songs I collaborated with them. Yeah, well, I did it last year with Ava Max, Kings and Queens. We brought back the rock anthem. And, you know, that's still a very huge song. So that Ava Max's Kings and Queens officially makes it my 6th decade of #1 hits. I've had #1 hits in every decade for 6 decades. I'll be making like music from the 80s, and I'll be in my 80s. When I speak to either of them, we don't talk about, you know, the other person or anything like that. So Richie just released a new record after many years, and so he's promoting that. And you know, I think that you know, John, he's, you know, enjoying his life, probably sitting there thinking about the next ginormous tour he's going to do when all this COVID business is done. One of my most gratifying collaborations has been with John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. It lasted for so long. You know, we've written so many songs together, and even a lot of songs that never were put on records. They're kind of secret songs. And so I'm just, you know, I'm just grateful that we had that time. I got to work with the Rasmus of Finland. And we made what I think is a masterpiece called Black Roses. We had a big hit on that called Living in a World Without You. This summer, when I was on vacation in Greece, Lauri called me up and said, "Hey, I want to write with you again." So I said, "Okay, come." And he came all the way from Hawaii, where he lives. He had to fly, I don't know, like 2 days to get there. And he was just there for 3 days, and we wrote a couple of songs. So, you know, and I've been working on the production of them. And so it's really fantastic to work with him. I have that chemistry with him.
There's a bonfire by the hydrant where a mattress is ablaze. A cop car turns a corner, every head has separate ways. It's a west side powwow. Take a bus cross down right now. It's a west.
I want to work with Michael Bolton again. We've spoken about it. It just hasn't hooked up. I'd love to write again with Joan Jett. Oh my God, she's a goddess to me. And continue writing a song here, a song there with Alice Cooper. The world now doesn't revolve around albums. You put out a song, and you could write a song in the morning. That night you press go, and it's out. Upload, go. You know, you wrote it that day. I mean, it's a fantastic thing that has happened, you know, because it's egalitarian. Anybody can put out music. The future is going to be different. It's not just about 10, 12 songs, it becomes an album. It's a much more expanded experience.
I think of you every night and day. You took my heart and you took my pride away.
Okay, I I wanted to work with Van Halen, and it didn't work out because they were having, they had been looking for a new singer, and I tried working with David Lee Roth separately. That didn't come together. But I love Van Halen. I would have loved to be able to work with, Fleetwood Mac. But there are too many writers. They didn't need me. I would have loved working with Duran Duran and just that whole British, Tears for Fears, anything having to do with the Brit rock era is like I'm in love with, because the music I was making was so different. I love the angular music that they were making. La 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 la. Everything was like jump up and down. And it wasn't chromatic like blues and rock is. So I just love that sound and so much. And I'm still waiting for that call from Duran Duran. I got a chance to work with Vince Neil. I was teaching him how to sing and everything in the studio, like guiding him, producing him, and he was having trouble. He was having trouble with, and then he finally got it. And that song was a fantastic song, and he sang great. And and then I got a chance to produce Motley Crue in a duet with Chester from Linkin Park for a benefit for Katrina. And we did an old song of Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home, I think. And there's a video of us doing it that I saw recently, which is so exciting to see us, working. And, so, I would love to work with, Motley Crue again. I mean, they're just such fantastic, crazy people. I just love them. And let's see, who else would I have loved to have worked with? I would have loved to work with Def Leppard, but they had Mutt Lange, so they already had somebody incredible, who's like an idol of mine. I tried writing with Bryan Adams, but it was at a time when Mutt Lange was very busy with his wife Shania, at the time, Shania Twain. He was so in love with Shania Twain and so obsessed with transforming country music. I mean, after Mutt Lange, country music was never, ever the same, ever. Brought it to a whole other level. And, so Bryan was sort of looking for other collaborators. And I went to London, I went to Jamaica, I went to Vancouver, and every time we started a song, we wouldn't get that far, and then all of a sudden he'd switch to another idea and another idea and another idea. I think we started like 18 songs. None of them ever finished, but it was fun hanging out with him because he's a fellow Scorpio. And so, we had so much fun in London. Yeah, we would go, and he's a vegetarian even back then. So he would order pizza without cheese on it. I called it pizza bread. And so we go to a special place. It was delicious. It was so good. And so, I have a lot of fondness for him. But, I wasn't Mutt Lange. I was like the girl that you date after your two divorces, and she can never, and all the guy can do is talk about his ex-wives. You just inspired me when you said, we need a studio album from me. And that had been in the back of my mind. Maybe that's what I'll do, is do an album of duets. And I already have one in the can that I sang with Alice, and so maybe that'll be the start, and I'll just it'll probably be, all like kind of rock, epic, kind of ginormous stuff, because that's what I'm good at. And I know that's what my fans like. Yeah, I'd like to come to perform in Athens sometime next year. Yeah, I've been starting to talk to some friends, and they're looking at, what the possibility is. Maybe I can bring some artists, that my collaborators, artists that I've worked with, to come and be a part of a great show. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I was in Greece, and so everybody was dancing, and somebody pushed me out into the middle, and I did this crazy dance. And my sons they videotaped me, and they keep showing it to their friends and laughing. And I was like doing all these like crazy moves, all this kind of like crazy moves that I see on the Instagram, these crazy TikTok dances, and they were like appalled. They just were so embarrassed.